Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lynn Crocker, TIFF's Industry Programming Manager, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 17th Annual Telefilm Canada Pitch This Awards. Thank you. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that photography and video recording are not permitted in the studio, but don't worry, we're taking care of all of that for you, and we're live streaming this event and all of our conference events on our website and our TIFF YouTube channel. Telefilm Canada Pitch This is one of TIFF Industries' professional development programs, which also include Talent Lab, Rising Stars, TIFF Studio, and the Len Bloom Residency. These programs are all designed to foster and support emerging filmmakers, actors, and writers. I'd like to thank our presenting partner, Telefilm Canada, for their generous support. And right now, I'd like to welcome to the stage from Telefilm, Stephanie Azam.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks to everyone for coming to the 17th Annual Telefilm Canada Pitch This. This is everyone's favorite event. That's what everyone tells me. Most of you probably know how this works. 6 teams have 6 minutes to pitch a feature film idea to you, as well as a jury of experts. And the winning team takes home $15,000 in development funding from Telefilm. They also get a big check that people tend to get very excited about, actually. Discovery and encouragement of new talent within our industry is the best means of ensuring future success, which is why so much of our funding goes to support first-time directors. And many of their films are playing at TIFF this year, and we're very proud of all of them. And you should go see them. I'd like to thank the Toronto International Film Festival, our Pitch This partner. TIFF has played an amazing role in promoting homegrown talent on a global stage. And also thank you to the jury members for taking part in this event. And finally, good luck to the contestants.
I'm very excited to introduce our MC for tonight. He's known as the host of CBC's hit show, The Debaters, and he's a multiple award-winning stand-up comedian and also a budding producer with a new show, The Smart Associates, making smart people funnier and funny people smarter, being developed later this fall. Please join me in welcoming Steve Patterson.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Lynn. Thanks, Tiff. Thank you, sir, with the hands. You're very handsome, man. It's a pleasure to be here to help with this event. I know this is being live streamed, which is very exciting. So to those who are watching from wherever you're watching, thank you for watching. For those in Latino countries, I would speak Spanish, but the only Spanish I know is from watching Narcos, and that cannot be repeated. It is a pleasure for me to help out with this event. It's very exciting because everyone that we see here today is on the verge of getting more funding towards making a film a reality, and I think everyone in this room appreciates how difficult that can be. So how about a nice hand for Telefilm and TIFF for this advantage for the filmmakers. I'm told this is the 17th Pitch This event, so now the event can almost legally drink in Alberta and has been legally drinking in Quebec for 5 years already. But of course, because it's been going on so long, this event has had many winners, all of whom who have gone on to do great things, and it's my pleasure now to give a little glimpse of things that have happened, and I like the response from the audience. The audience, you have a job here today, and that is to react to those who are pitching. This is not an easy thing. It's not easy to pitch to individuals in a small room, let alone a room full of people in a theater, which is technically a theater full of people. So if you hear something you like and you want to react, please react and let those who are watching on the streaming devices wish they were here. So please do respond, and if you find something funny and you want to laugh, please do laugh out loud. Don't just text LOL to your friends. That does not help us here at the live pitch event. Anyway, what we're seeing up here now is one of the past winners, Demonolatry, with producer, Laura producer, and Dan director Perlmutter, was just in 2015, so that's last year. Since then, they have gone on to attach Jessica Paré and Rachel Blanchard to be in the film. They received developing funding from Telefilm, and they did a live table read as part of a TIFF industry conference event earlier today in this very room, which you could have seen had you known that was happening before I just said it. So congratulations to last year's winners of Demonolatry. Slide the glide, please. Are we going to glide the slide? We're trying to get a catchphrase going. I guess we're just going to keep that one up throughout. And these people are going to get a lot of screen time. That's fantastic. I guess these people are all the past winners. That's great. Another winner was 10,000 Happiness, directed by Johnny Ma in 2014. 10,000 Happiness is on track and prepping to be in production in earlier 2017 in China. The North American premiere of his first feature, Old Stone, happens at TIFF this year, and speaking on the TIFF Industry Conference panel, East Finances West, here at the Glenn Gould studio. So congratulations to 10,000 Happiness, and also to a 2014 winner, Ex Cientos, Yannick Letourneau and Juan Andres Arango. So I am going to speak some Spanish today, apparently. That film actually premiered at TIFF this year, the international premiere at the San Sebastian, Latino lineup, and Canadian distribution is with Film Option. And lastly, Doubles with Slight Pepper by Ian Harnerine. That project took part in the Caribbean Film Mart recently. It has the Caribbean superstar Michelle Montano playing a supporting role in the film, and it will hope to start principal photography this winter. So all the past winners are moving on and making their visions that we heard about here a reality. Congratulations. As was already explained, the format for today is quite straightforward. 6 teams have 6 minutes to pitch their feature film idea. The winning team, selected by a jury of international industry experts who is here tonight, are awarded $15,000 from Telefilm to develop this script. And that award will be announced at a cocktail immediately after this event, and I think this is particularly adept of TIFF. It is an open bar at the cocktail, because if it were not, that $15,000 would not make it out of the building. So good decision, TIFF, on that, and we'll all look forward to that announcement. All of our pitchers this afternoon have been coached, and we'd like to thank the pitching coaches at this time: Howard Wiseman, Laura Perlmutter, Andrew Nicholas, McCann Smith, and Ian Harnerine. Thank you very much to all the pitching coaches. I believe some are here in the crowd this evening. If you're wondering how the jury will be judging today's pitches, the projects will be based on attractiveness of the project, feasibility of completion, and impact of the prize money. So those are 3 criteria we're looking for, but of course, anything can happen during the pitch, and we all know what it's like to try to blow away a group of peers and impress them enough to get this money. So I think we're all wishing them all the luck in the world. The jury will be, I believe the jury is present. Is the jury here? I hope so. It's very difficult to judge if you're not in the room for the pitch. I'm going to announce our jurists who are in the front row. This is mostly so the people who are pitching know who to suck up to. We have Natalie Kompelmacher with over 12 years of experience in the international film industry. She is Director of Sales at Seville International, the boutique theatrical sales arm of E1. Natalie, if you could stand, please, or just put your hand up. Thank you, Natalie. We also have with us the Content Acquisitions Manager at Film Buff, responsible for sourcing, evaluating, and negotiating distribution agreements for Film Buff's slate of releases. He was responsible for many productions, but maybe my favorite named film I've ever seen, The Russian Woodpecker. Thanks for doing that. Jake Hanley, where's Jake? Thank you, Jake. Also with us, we have an award-winning director, writer, and producer. He owns the production company New Reel Films, based here in Toronto. His most recent feature as producer is Born to be Blue, starring Ethan Hawke. Ladies and gentlemen, Leonard Farlinger is here with us. Also with us today, a producer and content rights strategist who has produced short films, music videos, documentaries, and television series. He's currently a television sales exec at BBC Worldwide North America, the commercial arm of the BBC, Brad Horvath. Thank you, Brad. And we have a producer, director based in Montreal. She most recently produced an EDM musical written by Kyle Jarrow. She's also had part in Three Mothers, The Color of Beauty, and she's currently developing a documentary entitled Color with Sodec and writing The Day Between with Telefilm Canada support. Aisling Chin Yi is here with us. Thank you, Aisling. And finally, the creator of Initiative Film in 1993. She has played part in talent scouting, subject research, consulting, story editing, and insightful advising. She's also a speaker at Sorbonne University and works as a consultant for MFI, the Mediterranean Film Institute. Isabelle Fauvel is with us this evening. So that is our jurist. Without further ado, it's my pleasure to bring up our first pitch team for today. It's made up of two Laurens and a Chris. It's always important. Lauren Grant is a producer from Clique Pictures, who has worked at several films, including the fashion documentary Traceable, which premiered here at the Toronto Film Festival in 2014. We have Chris Ross, a Toronto-based artist and filmmaker who has worked on such projects as The Art of Being Busy with Clique Pictures and Locomotion Pictures. And we have Lauren Corber, a producer, entertainment lawyer, and founder of Locomotion Pictures. They're here today to pitch us their product. Ladies and gentlemen, The Art of Being Busy.
The Art of Being Busy is a romantic comedy about a young food stylist who's diagnosed with breast cancer and goes to extreme lengths to keep it a secret. Sounds pretty romantic, doesn't it? I'm Lauren Grant.
And I'm Lauren Corber, and we're the producers of The Art of Being Busy, a contemporary take on the romantic comedy that's not just about getting the guy. It's about a complicated and flawed protagonist trying to figure her shit out when she hits a bump in the road along the way.
And I'm Chris Ross, the writer-director of The Art of Being Busy, and I love combining humor with serious stuff because that's life. I also love romantic comedies, sometimes in a guilty pleasure kind of way, you know, when the characters don't feel relatable or real, but so much so that I started thinking about how, as a filmmaker, I could capture everything I love about the genre in a smart indie film. And while I was struggling with this, a good friend of mine was actually struggling. She was diagnosed with breast cancer. And through her experience, I realized that the idea of the breast cancer victim or even survivor that gets tied up in this neat pink ribbon is in reality very complicated. And for young, ambitious single women, it's mixed up with tons of other things, you know, like body image, fertility, sexuality, and the fear, often well-founded, of damaging a rising career by taking time off to deal with a personal problem. Which all sounds hilarious, I know. But for some reason, the idea of using all this as an obstacle to romance and as a way of exploring themes of identity and perception really sparked my imagination and inspired The Art of Being Busy.
When the film begins, Elizabeth, or Busy for short, has what she considers to be a pretty sweet life. In her early 30s, she's worked hard to achieve her career of becoming a food stylist, a competitive career that's all about making things look good. Things haven't been going so well in the guy department lately, but that's okay with Busy. She's happy to focus on work and have fun with her best friend Sasha, who lives next door, and she's a painter. And everything changes when Sasha announces that she's pregnant. And Busy starts to question what a sweet life actually looks like. And she finds herself thinking about Martin, a photographer from work. Now, Busy's really never looked at Martin romantically before, mainly because she didn't want to jeopardize her career, but also because she found him kind of uptight. So when she winds up in bed with him, she's pretty surprised to discover that he's actually a lot of fun, and that she really likes him, and he really likes her. And she's kind of a little terrified that this could be something real, possibly even something great.
And the very next day, she's diagnosed with breast cancer, which is shocking and terrible and completely unfair. As Busy says to Sasha, I barely have breasts. How can I get breast cancer? And she definitely doesn't want to be seen as the cancer victim, not at work and especially not in front of Martin.
So Busy keeps her illness to herself. She swears Sasha to secrecy, but is determined no one else can know. And everything that's going on inside, all the fear and doubts and these new feelings for Martin, she's just going to push all that away, and she's going to go to India. You know, why not? Because someone who takes a huge spontaneous trip to India is obviously super healthy, right, and living their best life. Except, you know, Busy doesn't want to die, so she's not really going to go. She's going to stay and take care of things. She's just going to make it look like she's in India by staging photos using her food styling skills and posting them on social media. Which, of course, Sasha thinks is totally insane. But it works. Busy's plan works. And while she's in Toronto doing her chemo or hiding out of her apartment, everyone, including Martin, thinks that she's in India having the most amazing time. And the film stays in Busy's world of like denial, basically, so we don't see much that's cancer related. You know, the hospital and the hair loss, all that stuff happens off camera. Sometimes we catch her with her guard down. She looks a little tired. But for the most part, she's busy, right? Working on her new art project to Sasha's continuing dismay, or emailing Martin from India, but growing closer to him through this exchange. So while the film does deal with cancer, it's really about romance and friendship and food and art and perception, like especially the difference between your true self and what you put out to the world. And for Busy, that difference is enormous and ridiculous.
So when Martin decides to throw caution to the wind and come visit Busy in India, Sasha's like, it is time to come clean, or at least come home. But Busy's not ready to face reality. So with more lies, problems, an extreme makeover, Busy ruins things with Martin and realizes she needs to make some real changes.
So Busy comes up with a new plan. Using photos from her trip to India, she adds text that speaks to the truth of what she was going through at the time, like almost crying when a nurse compliments my veins at the hospital. And then she displays the photos and has a very public art show where she owns up to it all.
Which is a start, but it's not quite enough to fix things with Martin. For that, Busy has to actually embrace all the stuff she's been hiding. You know, like her flaws and vulnerability, and she has to learn to let go of the fear and anxiety that come with having cancer, of course, but also with falling in love. And this is the heart of the romantic comedy, this feeling, you know, a vicarious thrill for us all when it's done right, and a reminder that meaningful connections are possible. And the Laurens and I are going to do it right, which to us means making a film that includes all the rom-com fun, you know, the cool clothes and apartments and slightly screwball humor, but centers around a female character who feels like a real human being with real dreams and real problems and, you know, Instagram. And in other words, a film with characters that you care about and root for and respect, so the film is not a guilty pleasure, it's a genuine pleasure.
The Art of Being Busy was developed with the WIFTY Development Incubator, where award-winning producer Mary Jane Skalski acted as our story editor. Winning pitched this would allow us to polish the script, hold the table read, and begin casting. We recognize that in this genre, we need a lead actress who's both likable and marketable, and we think Busy is the type of role an actress would love to play, the kind of complicated woman we don't see enough on our screens. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Chris and the two Laurens. That was The Art of Being Busy. I'm proud of you and the audience for reacting. We could hear that. That was good. Sorry? Well, then you should give them money to make it. Someone yelled out, I want to see that film, for those of you watching at home. The Art of Being Busy. Now, that's something that anyone that's tried to pitch to a network executive knows people that have perfected that. So I hope that they get to do that too. And I don't mean to tip the hat, but I think that's the best one we've seen so far today. I don't want to tell the jurors how to do their job. All right. I think we're ready now. Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, our second pitch this afternoon comes to us from Toronto-based filmmaker Sean Wainsteim, whose varied body of work spans from narrative to experimental and documentary projects, from Ethiopia to the Arctic, from commercials and music videos to short films and TV shows, and from Nyla Innuksuk, who is a co-owner in Pingat Productions, a company rooted in the creation of unique cultural experiences operating in Ontario, Nunavut, and British Columbia, with a cutting-edge mandate to create interactive experiences that push the limits of technology and cultural expression. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our pitch team for our second project, Qalupalik.
Hey guys, my name's Nyla Innuksuk, and I'm the producer of Qalupalik.
Hi, I'm Sean Wainsteim, the director of Qalupalik. Set in stunning Baffin Island and told in a combination of English and Inuktitut, Qalupalik is a sci-fi thriller that tells the story of a badass Inuk girl who must rescue her brother from a mythical Inuit creature.
I grew up in Nunavut, one of the most beautiful places in the world, with a culture steeped in creativity and imagination. It's also a place of isolation and alienation. In many cultures, fables are considered cautionary tales, and because the conditions in the Arctic are so extreme, our myths and legends are really scary. I grew up watching movies like E.T., Goonies, Close Encounters, but I never saw people like myself, a girl from Nunavut, represented in any of them, which is crazy because the North is an amazing place for a sci-fi thriller like ours.
Qalupalik emerged out of a shared love of fantasy, myth, and storytelling. Now, most of the world, let alone most of our own country, haven't experienced the culture, landscape, and people of Northern Canada. We created a short teaser to set the tone for our film.
Thank you.
We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Pangnerton, Nunavut is a seaside hamlet surrounded by fjords. Every summer night, the midnight sun turns Pang into a real-life Lord of the Flies. Adults sleep and kids rule. That's when 13-year-old Melina and her all-girl gang ride bikes, go to parties, tease boys, and generally get into trouble. But lately, there have been rumors of strange disappearances. So when her brother Anik doesn't come home, the girls grab their bikes and head out in the tundra to find him. Out in the land, they hear a tap, tap, tapping. From the water slithers a woman with seaweed in her hair and a torn multi. Bang! Her friend shoots the woman, but she disappears into the water. Her friends are convinced this is a Qalupalik from the stories they heard growing up.
Now they're trapped far from home with a spirit after them and still no Anik. So they do what any girl from Pang would do. They fight back. As they make their way across the land, the Qalupalik is seemingly everywhere. They find Anik and are able to rescue him, but their friend Takani is taken by the Qalupalik. Inconsolable, they make their way home. When they arrive in Pang from the water come Qalupalik, many of them. The town is overrun. They find Takani, but she's half transformed by an elder spirit into a Qalupalik. Will this be their fate?
Melina has a plan. She tells the elder that she will voluntarily become a Qalupalik, but she does it as a trick to get close to her. She says, "Nobody fucks with girls from Pang," and kills her friend Takani to save her from life as an evil spirit. The elder is shocked. She gathers her children, slips into the water. From now on, the girls from Pang will be a cautionary tale that Qalupalik will tell their children.
I think it's really important to address issues that affect Indigenous communities, but I also think that it's really important to make movies that are fun and exist outside of genres like dramas and documentaries, because Inuit love to laugh and they love getting spooked even more. That's why I think Qalupalik will be a great change of pace for films coming out of Indigenous communities.
Collaboration is key. Polaris Prize-winning international singer Tanya Tagak is already on board. She could be heard in our teaser trailer that you heard earlier, along with Elissa P. Ishlutak, a 92-year-old painter who made our poster. This is some work that Nyla and I have shot around the world. It's a mix of award-winning documentary, narrative films. Our production model is closer to documentary, and we'll be allowing naturalistic performances and improvisation with our local non-actors. Many of our cast and key crew and advisors will be from northern communities. We'll have a strong mentorship program and create additional content through VR shorts and narrative projects as created by Nyla's company.
Thanks to our nimble production model that combines natural performances, amazing cinematography, we're confident that we can make a great film that we can complete with a budget of $1.6 million. We've already got some interest from Netflix and have received development money from Canada Arts Council.
From ravenous genre fans to people who want to just watch parts of films from around the world they've never seen before, our audience is large, enthusiastic, and engaged.
I'm really excited to make this film. Even if we get to reach one kid that's struggling to feel represented or understood like I did when I was a kid, I think it will be a success. Qalupalik was awesome. We can't wait to share it with the world.
Yeah, so we're on target to shoot next summer, and so winning pitch this today means that we'll be able to travel up there this year and do casting initiatives and local workshops with local communities, and we're also looking to partner with a senior producer to help us out.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thanks very much.
Qalupalik, that is it. I said it incorrectly, and I apologize. Looks like a great film from a great tradition of storytelling, so I think that one is still in the medals for what we've seen today. Because there's 3 medals usually awarded, and that was the second team. I'll explain all of them if I have to, but I thought it was a room of creatives. All right. Our next project that's coming up, looking forward to this. I'm confident I will say this title correctly. We have with us today Spencer Estabrooks, who is from the U of A, has a diploma in film production at VMPS. He also completed a Kickstarter for his first graphic novel, which is what is leading to this film. He's joined today by Greg Jeffs, who has produced short films that are available on iTunes and have been broadcast nationally and internationally. And their project that they'll be pitching to us today is Sharkosaurus.
Behold, from the bowels of Drumheller comes the mightiest evil ever unleashed upon Alberta.
Sorry, that's the oil sands. That is not an evil unleashed by Alberta. I'm talking about the greatest evil Alberta ever unleashed upon the world. Oh God, this is awkward. This is not what I meant to present right now. It's a wrong slide. I'm talking about the biggest monster that ever came from Alberta. The devourer of dirt, the destroyer of Drumheller, the one, the only, Sharkosaurus! Yes!
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Thank you much. So, the first question is, what is Sharkosaurus? Sharkosaurus is basically Tremors meets Jaws, but with a twisted sense of humor. It's, and everyone's going to say, oh no, not another shark movie. There's already a ton of shark movies. Well, you know what? There's a ton of zombie movies, and there's a ton of vampire movies. But every year, people keep making them. Because every year, one of those movies stands out. One of those movies is better. One of those movies makes a change. One of those movies dares to be different. One of those movies redefines the genre.
Sharkosaurus is a shark movie with legs.
So what's the story? We're not going to reinvent the wheel. We're actually just going to borrow from one of the greatest pulp writers of all time, William Shakespeare. That's right, we're doing Romeo and Juliet, except instead of Capulets and Montagues, we have creationists and paleontologists, and two star-crossed lovers that live in a world that wants to tear them apart. Evan is the son of the son of a paleontologist, and he falls for Addie, the daughter of a widowed creationist. When Sharkosaurus arrives, basically, they take shelter in a creationist-themed golf course called Heavenly Holes. That's right, a creationist-themed golf course called Heavenly Holes. Basically what we're doing, it's a pot boiler. We take a bunch of characters, toss them in a pot, add some one-liners, put in some comedic disasters, turn up the heat, and watch them squirm.
Sharkosaurus was born when fans online voted to give us a short film budget. We intend on taking that policy, moving it towards a feature, and making a film in the Badlands of Alberta, where we have 18 hours of sunlight a day, incredible crews, incredible equipment, and our lead actor is a giant Sharkosaurus. So our target is the actress CPIP, which allows us to access Canadian talent and keep our Canadian content at a 10 out of 10.
My name is Spencer Estabrooks, and I'm the writer-director of Sharkosaurus. Basically, I did my first genre feature-length film last year called Legend of the Lich Lord. We won 2 Best Feature Awards, 2 Best Visual Effects Awards, and a Best Ensemble Cast. I followed it up last year as well with a documentary about the history of Alberta beer, because I love my stories, and I love making stories in Alberta. And, we had so much fun working on Sharkosaurus, shooting 2 days in the Badlands of Drumheller. It was a great short film we did. And we went to some amazing festivals. If you look at some of the laurels on these festivals, there's tentacles, there's everything. When I was doing my poster, I'm like, why do we have such badass laurels?
We know our market, and we have a fan base.
And we can activate that fan base. We raised $20,000 to do a Kickstarter graphic novel for Sharkosaurus. But the short film is not the graphic novel, and the graphic novel is not the feature. So what is Sharkosaurus? Sharkosaurus is a sign. It's a symbol. It is the inevitability that stalks all men. It is death. It is transformation. It is change. It is evolution. All the characters go through transformation. They all fight and then become better versions of themselves just before they're horribly murdered by Sharkosaurus. Sharkosaurus is an Alberta monster, made by Albertans and inspired by Alberta. But the story is universal. I want to take this universal story and show it to the world, and you guys can help me today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sharkosaurus, ladies and gentlemen. Huh? I liked it. I like those guys. I didn't even care that they spelt Shakespeare wrong. I barely noticed. When you got a shark with legs, you don't need to put the last D on Shakespeare. I've always said that. I didn't know why till just now. All right. This is the cleanup spot of the pitch session. This is the number 4 spot. This is looking pretty good considering the Blue Jays. If we have another pitch session, I think the winners should also get to pitch an inning for the Jays. They couldn't do worse than our current relievers. Anyway, here we go. This next pitch comes to us from Matt Code, a Toronto-based producer of award-winning films, television, and digital content, and the owner of Wildling Pictures. I like the sound of that. Code is also a graduate of the Cineplex Entertainment Film Program Producers Lab at the Canadian Film Centre. He's joined today by Molly McGlynn, another Toronto-based writer and director. Her first short film, I Am Not a Weird Person, screened at films and festivals across North America and was hailed by Lena Dunham as a special short. They're here today to pitch us on their project, Mary Goes Round.
Hello. My name is is Molly McGlynn, and I'm the writer and director of Mary Goes Round. And behind me are some films that I've made. All are in the lady with a problem genre, and usually that lady is afraid of something. This lady's afraid to leave the house to buy toothpaste. This lady is afraid her fate will be like her mother's, and most recently last week at TIFF, this lady is afraid that the years of sexual thrill are behind her. This is what I've done successfully in the past with my short films and what I've been working towards with my feature. Okay, so Mary Goes Round is a redemptive drama with moments of dark comedy about a young woman, Mary, who gets a DUI, retreats home to her hometown in New Jersey, and ends up taking care of her estranged father, who's dying of cancer, all while trying to stay sober. It's about good people who are stuck on a merry-go-round of doing crappy things and how they get the hell off that ride. This is not a documentary, but writing this has been a love letter of sorts to my half-sister, who I don't have much of a relationship with, and my father, who, even though we've tried to mend a broken relationship, has been the greatest source of pain in my life. I'm not telling you this to feel bad for me. I don't need that. I'm telling you because I want you to know why I'm making this film. Have there been moments in my life where I acted like an asshole because I didn't know how to deal with issues of loss and abandonment? Am I someone who talks about her daddy issues in therapy and evidently in public pitch forums? Yes. Okay, so back to Mary. She's an addiction counselor with a drinking problem, and for what I hope are obvious reasons, is not very good at her job. She takes BuzzFeed quizzes to find out if she's dead inside. She downloads apps to help count her drinks and swaps bourbon for beet juice. But there's no beater app that can save her now. Maybe at this point you're thinking, why should I care about this self-destructive woman who creates all these problems for herself? I hear you, but you really do care about her. We see her sabotage a relationship with a loving partner because she doesn't think she's deserving of love. We watch her down 6 mimosas in social situations because she doesn't think that people with savings accounts and who blow dry their hair will like her. And I should point out, we've been watching movies and caring about needy and self-destructive men for decades. Well, women are shitty too. So, in the first act, Mary's sobriety is derailed by some Facebook messages by a man named Walt, who we later learn is her father. So she gets drunk at a baby shower, crashes her car into a stop sign. Her fiancé breaks up with her, and she's suspended from her job on the condition that she gets sober. At this point, she reaches out to Walt. Now, why would she do this, you think? Have you ever so desperately needed the validation of a parent who doesn't easily give it? If you haven't had that pleasure, well, let me tell you that you never stop trying. It becomes this lifelong Sisyphean task, because if they don't love you, how will anyone else? Okay, so back to the story. Walt tells Mary, Robin, your half-sister is ready to meet you. In fact, she needs you. So Mary buys a bus ticket. She has nothing in her wallet in an empty apartment, and she gets on a bus to Asbury Park, New Jersey, the home she's long tried to forget, and the birthplace of Bruce Springsteen. When she gets there, Walt reveals he's actually dying of cancer, and 16-year-old Robin wants nothing to do with her. Mary and Robin have nothing in common except the absence of a mother, and Walt is terrified of telling Robin that he's dying because she's months away from graduating high school and will enter her adult life alone. Mary, even though she's jealous of this teenage girl, of her life and her relationship with their father, sees something of herself and her own loneliness ahead for this girl, so she stays. Over the course of the film, these characters struggle with secrets. Mary is hiding her DUI and AA meetings. Walt is hiding his cancer from Robin. And Robin is hiding her rebellious streak from both of them. Of course, secrets explode, and that's why we watch movies. But it's Mary's decision to love herself so that she can love this half-sister who truly needs it but doesn't want it, is an act of love that motivates Walt to connect to Mary. And it's this act of connecting with her family that is Mary's key to sobriety. Spoiler alert, I have to say Walt dies, because in real life people do. But I do believe that the ending is a happy one. I don't know if I can speak for my own life and my own messy relationships, but I'm a writer who will always prioritize and fight for joy despite the messiness of our lives.
This is exactly the type of movie that I love. It's a character drama infused with the heart and humor of everyday life. It's got real people, and it's drawn from real experiences. This script had me laughing and crying, and that's a really rare thing. So this past July, Molly and I went to Asbury Park, New Jersey. It's the actual town that Mary returns home to in the story, and it happens to be about an hour away from where Molly grew up. I was really surprised. I had a total misconception of New Jersey based on a pretty terrible reality show. It's actually quite beautiful and chock full of character. And so we've decided that we really need to shoot this film, or at least the exteriors, in Asbury Park in order to capture that raw realism and the personal connection. Now, you've caught us at a crucial moment for this project. It was developed at the CFC, supported by the Harold Greenberg Fund, and we have some production financing through the Telefilm microbudget program. The prize being awarded here today, though, would allow us to immediately begin late-stage packaging and cast the leads in this film so that we can move ahead at the schedule we have to, because we need to deliver this film by the summer of 2017. I can't tell you how much $15,000 means to a movie of this size. It's astronomical. With your support here today, we can reach our goals, and hopefully we'll be back at TIFF 2017 with Mary Goes Round.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Is this on? Yes! Thank you, Matt and Molly, for Mary Goes Round, and thanks, crowd, for participating. Although whoever yelled woohoo when Molly said women are shitty too, maybe dial it back a notch. It's time now for our fifth pitch of the afternoon. We're going to hear from a large pitch team here. Rob Grant is a 2013 alumnus of the Canadian Film Centre's Directors Lab. Luke Black is a producer who was born and raised in Western Canada, attended the U of A and Red Deer, and built his creative practice, producing over a dozen DIY short films. Mike MacMillan is a graduate of the U of T and UCLA's professional producing program. And Peter Harvey, it says he is not here but should be mentioned, but he's not here. So Peter, if you're watching from wherever you are, that's my mention. We have to move on. The pitch is entitled, and I'm looking very forward to it, To Be Continued.
You're 17 years old. Some prick at school pushes you into the lockers at school. Everybody laughs. Your friends can't do anything. Your parents don't care. The urge to lash out at them just builds inside you, just rises up. That is to be continued. Our bully teen, Evan, he's at the end of his rope. He's taken enough of the injustice in his life. So on the last day of school, on prom night, he kills himself.
Except that after he dies, he respawns. He comes back to life immediately, video game style, a perfect version of himself standing over his corpse. That's when he realizes that the rules have changed. He's discovered that he has something special, something powerful, something that he can use to get back at everybody who's ever tried to keep him down.
So, our setting is a small island town somewhere off the west coast. Evan, after he discovers this newfound ability, recruits his friends and returns to prom with the intent of exacting his revenge. But that's when shit hits the fan. It's jocks versus the nerds. I mean, there we go. It's jocks versus the nerds that they battle through the school using anything they can get their hands on. But as Evan respawns more and more, his old corpses start lining the halls. The parents start joining in. The town's only sheriff starts joining in. And as the fight goes deeper, the rules of respawning start to get murky. By 10 respawns deep, the effects are showing on Evan. He's bleeding from his ears. He's missing teeth. His eyes are baggy. And the question is he going to come back? Is he still going to come back after continually respawning? This movie will take the bones of a bully revenge fantasy and dig deeper. Evan thinks he's doing the right thing, being the hero like you've seen in every superhero movie out. And but the reality is he goes too far. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. In the end, Evan is forced to take responsibility for his actions as he attempts to stop the events he's set in motion. And the cool thing is, we got this guy who can respawn and restart his lives, but can't undo his mistakes.
So Rob worked on this film while he was at the CFC, and he had an opportunity to develop a proof of concept, which turned into a short film that actually played here at TIFF in 2014. I absolutely loved this film, and so did TIFF. They awarded it the honorable mention that year, and that was for a high concept film that was alternately heartbreaking and humorous.
We're going to the
Slide.
team slide. So with little no money, Rob's already made 3 indie genre films. Well, he's been working as assistant editor on huge Hollywood productions like Spielberg's The BFG and the last 2 Planet of the Apes movies. So To Be Continued represents the next step for him.
And for us, for the producing team, we've now done collectively 10 feature films together. So our work with financing, packaging, and my recent work working with top US agencies is going to allow us to build a pretty incredible project.
Slide. So, what's next? We're pretty late to his stages with the script right now, and we really want to use the Pitch This money to bring a story editor on to really polish this and bring it to the next level.
And once we have that polished draft back into our hands, we'll spend a little bit of our money as well on US casting directors so that we can go out and find our US cast for the project.
Yeah, so this movie's basically going to be fucking nuts. And our goal is to combine the emotional intensity of something like It Follows with the uplift or the elevated genre of Attack the Block, and in order to say something poignant about revenge and retribution.
The film is about bullying and violence. Yesterday was World Suicide Prevention Day. And the fact of the matter is this is a real problem. So we're happy to be trying to have this conversation and to push it further without trying to use heavy-handed infomercials to do so. I want to thank everybody for coming out, and thank you kindly to TIFF and Telefilm for having us.
Thank you, gentlemen. Rob, Luke, and Mike. And Peter, we're sorry you couldn't be here. That was To Be Continued, and Rob's right. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I don't know if you know who first said that. For me, it was my grade 11 history teacher, Mr. Murray. All right. We're moving now into our final pitch of the afternoon. This is pitch number 6. We have with us Francine Zuckerman. Francine made her first film on Super 8 at the age of 15, and years later has made several documentaries and short films. She's a graduate from McGill and joined the NFB to make her first film, Half the Kingdom. Karen Shaw, her most recent projects include the feature film Koya in 2015, which was selected for the prestigious Tribeca All Access program. And she recently finished a 5-week theatrical run and screened at festivals internationally, including the Mumbai Film Festival. Karen and Francine are here today to pitch to us a film with a certainly recognizable title, but now in film form. Ladies and gentlemen, The Edible Woman.
This is Francine, our director, and Karen, our producer. Our film is an anti-romantic comedy. It's based on the groundbreaking novel, The Edible Woman, by our very own Margaret Atwood.
When I first read this book as a young woman in high school, it made a huge impact on me and millions around the world. I wanted to run away from my traditional suburban life. I've been dreaming this film for decades.
Have you been interested in another man since marriage?
How do you really feel about your children?
Does your husband satisfy you?
How dare you ask me such radical questions?
The year is 1964, Toronto. The Beatles are everywhere.
Consumerism is at a new peak, marketed to and for women who know their place by their man's side. We're on the cusp of the women's movement and the sexual revolution. And yes, that F word.
Feminism. And amongst this new fervor sits our heroine, Marion, in a market research office full of women with the men upstairs. She's a woman on the brink of life-defining choices, and she is looking for more.
Marion, late 20s, lives a safe, consumer-oriented life with a respectable job, a good circle of friends, and the perfect man.
Peter Wallander, a charming, successful lawyer and an amateur photographer whose favorite subject, is Marion. He fulfills his promise to propose once he makes partner. Her life is really quite perfect. She's happy. Her best friend Clara is happy with 3 kids under 5 and a brand new Lady Kenmore washer dryer.
Her roommate Ainsley, sexy, rebellious, is happy hopping from one bed to another. 3 women, the rebel, the mother, and Marion, trying to find herself somewhere in between. As Peter's plans for the wedding move ahead, he pressures Marion to make more and more decisions. Her world starts to close in on her, and she begins to feel suffocated.
It begins with a new aversion to food. She can no longer look at a piece of steak without seeing the blood dripping from its carcass. Eventually, the food starts talking to her, and to gain control, she stops eating completely. In comes the hipster, Duncan, a tall English graduate student. Immediate sparks fly with this complete opposite of Peter. He spends his days contemplating Shakespeare in the laundromat. Duncan opens Marion up to a world full of music and poetry and sexual liberation.
She begins to act erratically, standing Peter up, defying her boss.
Peter thinks she has female hysteria.
But she's really trying on different roles, looking to break free, falling in love with the person that she actually could be.
It all comes to a head when Duncan is unwittingly invited by Peter to their engagement party. Marion's worlds collide. Duncan takes off, and Marion follows him, running away from her own fiancé, her own engagement party, and into the arms of the hipster, Duncan. Together, they have the most terrible, awful, horrible sex.
Shattered, she rushes home, grabs eggs and sugar and flour, and starts baking a cake in the shape of a woman. She invites Peter over, ends their engagement, slams the cake down in front of him, and says, "Consume this, not me." Peter leaves humiliated. Her friends come over, and together they devour the cake.
Now satiated, what's next for Marion?
Is she going to leave it all behind? And what are the consequences? Atwood is more popular than ever. This book has been published in more than 20 countries, and with over 1 million Twitter followers, we have an enormous built-in audience of Atwood readers. And with this adaptation, the next generation.
So why are we making this film now? It is more relevant than ever before. We are tapping into the zeitgeist. There is a new revolution happening. We're talking about sexuality and choices, career, leadership. Originally published in the 60s, this story still resonates for me. As a career-driven woman, I am constantly, daily asked about marriage, about motherhood, and society's expectations, along with my Jewish parents, weigh heavily on me. We are all asking the same questions as Marion. It's universal. Can I have it all? Who am I? And who do I want to become? We're in the polish and packaging phase of this project, and with Atwood's popularity abroad, we have interest from UK and German co-production partners. and we are slated for production in late winter 2017.
Together, our work has toured the world theatrically and on multiple platforms. We have an incredible team. My co-writer, Molly McGlynn, our incredible award-winning DP and editors, Steve Cousins and Susan Shipton.
From an era made popular by Mad Men, our story has elements of an education, of Revolutionary Road, and in the dynamics and humor between the friends, we also see Sex and the City and Girls.
The Edible Woman is a fresh adaptation of an iconic portrayal of a woman's battle to define herself in a world full of expectations. We've come a long way.
Or have we?
You don't.
Very confident women bringing us The Edible Woman. Jurors, it's up to you now to deliberate over the 6 pitches you just saw. We need one winner announced during the cocktail right after this, so you don't have long to deliberate. I don't envy you. To everyone that's here, thank you so much for attending the film. The TIFF cocktail reception is happening right outside of the theater. You are welcome to attend that and to see who won this. Everyone who's watching on the streaming, go grab a drink, but we're not paying for it. Thank you so much for watching this and supporting Canadian film. Good afternoon.